Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Plessis, and with me today is Roy Coughlan, who is known as the Podfather. The Podfather. He is a serial entrepreneur who has founded 20 companies across 5 countries. So this is going to be incredible for us to be talking with you about Business on the Vine. He's known again as the Podfather. He has 8 podcasts. I have 5. I don't know why we want to do this, but beyond podcasting, he co-founded a Brain Upgrade, a platform designed to boost cognitive performance and unlock peak mental potential. He also has a virtual assistant company as well. So welcome to the show, Roy. We are delighted to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So let's get started with, the question, because you and I've been podcasting a while. I'll just leave it a while. Why did you start podcasting? There are so many people out in the marketplace that, gurus are telling everybody we're gurus. I don't tell everybody to be on podcasts, but people are telling everyone to be on a podcast because that's how you grow your business, get credibility, get influence. But that's somewhat of a myth if you don't have a strategy behind it. So why did you get started? How did that happen with you? And maybe you developed the strategy later.
There's a bit of a story to it. So I moved to Poland 19 years ago, and I was doing a load of real estate. I had about 14 people working for me, built apartments, had commercial. And when the crash happened, I was doing okay. And I started putting money in that the investors I thought it'd be a kind of hiccup. Eventually, they lost everything. I lost everything. And I was the president of a lot of companies. And in Poland, you're personally liable. So usually limited liability companies kind of like, let's move on, let's start again. Not here. So I had a debt of about 5 million. With that, with that, I've had about 100 court cases. Eventually got through everything, cleared the decks, and I went to an event, and the event was What's Your Quest? And I said, I'm going to expose everything I've seen because I saw so much corruption with judges, bailiffs, everything. I said that was my mission, to expose that. I hated public speaking. There was brilliant speakers at the event. It was A-Fest. I don't know if you're familiar with Mind Valley. They do an event, and it was in Cancun in Mexico. And I said, okay, I need to expose this, but I need to become a competent speaker. And when I came back, I joined Toastmasters. Then I joined another club. I formed my own club, International Entrepreneurs, became a coach of a Finnish club. I got into the final of 5 countries. So kind of went from very shy to that. But during that journey, I was at an event and the guy had started a podcast, and he outside the event, he says, hey, I'll show you how to do it. And I mean, I'd listened to podcasts, but I'd never even thought of doing it.
Right.
And I went, oh, I can do this. And it was always about the awakening, is the one with the mask, that's exposing fraud and corruption. But I thought, okay, I need to learn my trade first. And the first one was the speaking podcast. And it was, I understood the journey I went, and it was about helping people to do the same. So I knew I had a lot of guests that I could get on because I was kind of speaking around Europe and stuff like that. I knew a lot of people. And that was the very first one in 2018.
Wow. Yeah. It's so amazing. Yeah. I think that most people stumble into this. That was somewhat of my story as well. You stumble into the first, then you stumble into the second, and then you go, aha, the third. Oh, geez. Right. It's kind of like writing books. When I wrote my first book, I said, I'll write a book. I'll write a book. It's going to give me credibility to get on stages. I don't know that it really does that, but I ended up writing 5. Why? Why do I do it? And in the middle of another. It's so funny. So I think a lot of people stumble upon it. I know it's not a course in college, but here's what I want to ask you about. I want to shift a little bit here to talking about the business of podcasting, because that's what Business on the Vine is all about, right? Is the business of podcasting. So when you started, walk us through this trail for the last several years, 8 years or so. Walk us through this trail of, it was fun. I was doing all these podcasts, meeting all these people. But then when was how did the steps that happened that you said, wait a minute, this is fun, but this is all an illusion if I don't have a strategy. So
It took
walk
a,
us through that.
yeah, it kind of took a few years because it was originally to kind of help others. So there was the meditation because meditation helped me kind of breath work and everything. So everything was kind of given back. And I was kind of realizing you'd expect that you'd earn from some stuff, from donations or from sponsorship and stuff like that. And then you realize, ooh, I have to pay for Zoom, I have to pay for Calendly, I have to pay for the website. And I was like, this is going the wrong direction.
And I have to pay somebody to do those things. Right. Yeah.
So what happened is when I was doing the Toastmasters, I a lot of time I would talk about the podcasting and loads started because of it. And if there was an event, I could do a workshop on it. So I helped a load of people. And then there was people reaching out to me. Hey, I'm thinking of starting a podcast. And I'm kind of the type that I'll help you, no problem. And then there was people reaching out that they never even said hello to me, kind of. And I thought, yeah, people are just using me. So then I said, I'm going to start coaching. So what I did is I recorded a professional course. So I planned it in detail, got a guy to come down doing the camera work, lighting, done that. And then the next person that reached out said, well, I have a course or I can actually coach you. And I said, yeah, you can coach me. And it kind of went from there. And kind of the next stage was then helping people get on shows. And I've done that. And yeah, kind of sponsorship as well. Now I have a new strategy that I'm building the because I have now 21 companies because I had to open one in the States in Wyoming because I was doing the ads in Podbean because I pushed them all over there because I can do the dynamic ads. And there was a European kind of I don't know what happened, but they weren't allowed. They just turned off the tap, got an email, hey, this is stop. And I was like, this
Oh,
isn't good. Yeah. So I
yeah.
moved it over there. But then I realized they're paying out a tiny percentage. And most of them are like that. You have to be massive.
It's
And they're like,
ridiculous.
say, Acast, and they take 50%. But like Podbean, if you want to advertise with them, it's 25 bucks per thousand. And if you do massive numbers, it might go down a bit less. So they're paying up between 12 and 19. I said, that's not a good equation. That's not fair. We're doing all the work. So I've got all my podcasts. Now I've got other people coming across. I've already got 3 people that are coming. So it's going to just keep getting better. And then I'm going to have the sponsorships. I've already trialed it on my own stuff. So I can dynamically insert it on all the shows.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
way then even the small guy is getting money that he would never make. And it's kind of because they're kind of I don't know. It's sickening the way they're doing it because they're
Yeah.
keeping so much. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure about you if you've ever moved a show, but it's very hard to get your feeds, the actual downloads. Because when I done it, I was trying to do everything. Every person I've talked to maybe 10 people on this, everyone's lost their downloads. I'm not sure if you've ever moved a
No,
show.
like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years now, right? 15 years. But if you look at my oldest podcast, you're going to find that it doesn't have as many episodes as one would think because I lost them all when I made the transfer. Gone, gone. And that was through Lipson, right? That was through Lipson. So no longer with Lipson. They were great and everything. But, every time they started a podcast, it was like, today I'm going to be talking with so and so. The next write up was, today I'm going to be talking with so and so. And it was like, if you don't have creativity, I'm paying you to do this and I'm out. But I had no idea I'd lose all of the early podcasts, all of them. And when I started, they were simply audios with my earphones in my closet, right? And it was a monologue. So that all that's lost. All of that's lost. And yeah, it's really frustrating that we have stop gaps now. We won't lose anything ever.
No.
We
Well,
have-
what the way that it's done now, because the Spotify, yeah, they transferred the shows, but it goes from zero.
yes, it
And the
starts
minute
over.
you hit the button, and it shouldn't because they're supposed to transfer it across and they want you to do it. So I've downloaded the CSV file. I've done
Yeah.
everything as you should. And they're like, no, what they gave is different. And then I tried to engage with Spotify and they were nasty. They were
Yeah.
basically kind of saying, indirectly calling you
Yeah.
stupid because I couldn't do it right. And I'm like, no, and everyone I'm talking to. So I hope the industry kind of changes that because that's not fair
Yeah.
because
Well,
you shouldn't be kind of held to ransom by one platform because if you
I
decide, hey, this
agree.
this, this one is
Yeah.
offering better things like dynamic ads for
Right.
not all of them offer that.
Right.
So hey, I want to move. Why should you
Yeah.
go back to zero?
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I have mine on several platforms, but once in a while I'll get a check for 18 cents. Right. And I do have sponsors. I've had sponsors in the past. I've fired sponsors, because they don't work. But I have a new strategy for that, to make money. But yeah, so you started realizing and you're saying, okay, so now I'm going to coach these people on podcasting. And because it's an interesting concept that you went in that direction, because when I talk to people, they're saying, well, the only reason I like being a podcast guest is because I'm going to sell to the host. So tell me your thoughts on that.
I mean, you can see the way that I actually have my forms is I say what I'm doing. Hey, would you like to, if you're an existing, would you like me to help you improve it? I've got VA, would you like it? A yes, no, send me more. Do you want sponsorship? I never bring it up. They hit the box, I send them the information. And if I mean sometimes, the guests are trying to pitch or they're trying to be too salesy. It doesn't work with me, it's
No, no, it doesn't work with me. Like, don't come on my podcast to pitch me. And what are your thoughts on people coming onto a podcast? Like, for example, I will tell you, I've been doing this a really long time. I don't look at any emails that are coming in from people pitching. I delete them all. I have no interest whatsoever because 95% of them are, hi, so and so just came out with a new product and they'd love to be on your podcast. Well, you can't be on my podcast. If you want to pitch your product, you can advertise on my podcast. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I'd like to hear that too.
Yeah, well, I get bombarded with it because of so many
Uh-huh.
shows. So I have an email that basically says it's pay to play. And I
Yeah.
work on platforms that I don't do that. And I kind of say, look, you can jump the queue. I charge people 100 quid to jump the queue. And shorts that are actually not AI generated, they're done properly because I do like QR codes or your website inside it.
Yeah.
So it kind of works better. But with them,
Yeah.
it's
You're the
maybe,
same
but
thing. Yeah.
5%, yeah, 5% to 10% will actually say, okay. But
Right.
the thing is, a lot of agencies, they come in and they're trying to get, and
Oh,
I
charge a
get it
ton of
if
money.
some of them are charging $1,000 and they won't
Uh-huh.
pay 1 or 200 quid because it helps with production costs.
Yeah.
And you're just go, and then they go, I'll ask the client, and you're going, and a lot of them, they'll
Yep.
use their own email, they'll fill out the form. And when I'm talking to the clients, I said, this is the worst thing you can do because you're constantly evolving and all they're doing is cut and paste, cut and
Yeah.
paste. So you could do
Yeah.
100 interviews and they're all the same.
Right.
Whereas you want to be creative and
Yeah.
get something better. But
Yeah,
then,
that's right. And you want to look at the host and what the business is behind the host, to personalize it. If you're going to have to go in that direction, if you're going to do an instant message or a video, or you're going to do an email, you want to do something. Every podcast I've been on, I've been invited or referred to. I've never applied for a podcast. I've never sent an email, never, ever, ever. And I got an email about 3 months ago from an agency saying, hello, Bob. I really love your podcast on, let's see, Smart Entrepreneurship Show. Right. And I was like, and I responded and said, you're not doing your clients any service. Instead of deleting and blocking, it was that. But yeah, I do the same thing, pay to play, for some of those, because, if you want to do that, I'll be happy to pay to play, or you can just advertise and I'll do some advertisements for you. But okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I wanted to really just get your expertise in the background piece of this, but now I want to change to business, right? And the reason this is called Business on the Vine is the song, I heard it through the grapevine, that other business owners are listening in. Some may be podcasting, some may not be podcasting, but all of them have a business. And I want to talk about your business. So, first of all, someone listening is going, oh my gosh, right, right. I have one business and I'm already in the hustle. Why 20? Why 20? Why would I ever want to consider 20 businesses? So, can you give us some insight on I guess, the madness behind that? And maybe it's not madness. Maybe you're, making 7, 8, 9 figures, but why 20 when most people can't handle one?
well, it's not continuous 20. I formed 20 and it's 21 now.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Because I have 4 right now that I run, right? So, how many are you running right now?
Yeah, about four as well. Yeah.
Or so, yeah, because
Yeah,
we have
maybe I'm
different
working on something at the moment now with real because I've done a lot on real estate, so I'm working on something on that.
yeah.
So I've always got a few other things
That's
kind
cool.
of going.
Okay, we're going to talk afterwards because I have a robust real estate portfolio and coach on real estate investing. So we're going to have to talk about that. Okay, so for now, so let's talk about the for now. What was the seed that was planted that prompted you to say, hey, and I'll do some references to wine, right? Why do you want to plant another varietal? So you've got Merlot planted. Why did you decide to go, oh, I'm now going to plant some Chardonnay? What makes you step from one to the other?
I suppose it's kind of in my DNA. At 9, I was going around washing cars, delivering leaflets. At 11, I started a newspaper round that I done up to college with the money from that. At 14, bought a lawnmower, used to go around cutting grass. 18, kind of, I was into motorbikes. Then I said, ooh, I can buy a motorbike, spruce it up a bit, and sell it. So it was always kind of in my blood. And I
Yeah,
like
the ideas.
yeah. So for example, when I went to Poland, I started dating a Polish girl, came across, I was after buying a few properties in Ireland, and I went like, oh, property's cheaper. Bought some. Then I kind of said, everyone's kind of buying property. So then I set up a company. I called it Polera, Pole for Polish. Era is the Irish for Ireland.
Okay.
And I started getting investors. And then eventually it was like, okay, apartment, we find an apartment. And then they were like, oh, we need it renovated. Oh, we can do that. So I done a couple of hundred renovations. And then we need it fitted out. We can do that. We need it managed. We can do that. And then even with insurance and stuff like that, we were organizing the insurance, organizing everything, and kind of doing a lot of things like that. I sold the management one because that gets painful after a while. It's
Yes, it
you
does.
think it's like you're getting phone calls for things that's like, and I was like, no, not for me. So I
Right.
got rid of that one. And then after the different, I just tried. If I make getting into a business, so this is for any entrepreneur. You can get in with somebody that has the skill set, or you can kind of learn it yourself. And sometimes people, like accountants especially, or solicitors, they tend to think that this is what I've studied, this is what I do. And the thing is, business is a people business. So once you learn something, so if I'm getting into something new, I'll read 5, 10 books. I might listen to a lot of I start understanding it a lot better. And sometimes I'll partner with somebody that knows. So we've different skill sets that we're bringing to the table. I mean, I did one on mobile media placement. So what we did is we started creating advertisement in games. So we developed apps. So in my commercial property here, I had about 10 different developers. We were creating stuff. We were getting creative with the stuff. So that was one at once. I done a food truck. The guy had owned the fish and chips business. So we decided to buy a food truck and kind of went through that. And everything I do, it's kind of making sure, hey, this is exciting. But if I find that on the Sunday night, I'm kind of going, I'm okay with walking away from something,
Right.
whereas before I take something from the one that's doing very well, feeding the other ones. And it's like if it's not washing itself, it's like let it get dirty and fade away. That's you
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
because
I
they
love
can't.
that saying. I love that saying. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a word for this, and maybe we'll have to develop a word for this, but so many companies outsource, right? We have somebody who does our bookkeeping, and we have somebody who does, and I love your example of real estate because, I play in that game is, I'm going to buy the real estate. I should have a license so I don't have to pay someone else. Then I'm going to do the renovations. Let me start a renovation company and hire people to do that. And then they're hungry while they're on site. So I'm going to buy a food truck. Right. And so I'm seeing this pattern here of, I can outsource it or I can make money from it and expand it. So I'm not just serving that one house, but now I'll just serve all the other houses too. And so when people say serial entrepreneur, I don't think it fits this category. I mean, yes, you are. I am too. But there's something about this, like this compound entrepreneurship that maybe it's a new way of saying it, right? A compounded entrepreneurship where we look and say, hey, I need that service. Could I be the one providing it and provide it to others? And that's exactly what you did with podcasting. I need the service. Now I can provide it to others as well. And oh, by the way, do you need advertising? I can do that too. And oh, by the way, do you need I can do that too. So yeah, it's really powerful what you've done. I've heard of pieces of this. I've done it myself, but you've really, expanded this out into the world. So kudos to you. Congratulations for all that you're doing. How is your team structured when you've got multiple companies? Do your assistants, are they assistant for every company and just play different roles, or do you have an assistant that is bucketed in a different place? So, for example, social media. Do you have one who goes right across all of them, or one who is specialized in podcasting, one who's specialized in something else?
What I have is because I have the VA business, so kind of touching back a little bit when
Yeah,
I'm coaching people as well. I go, look, this will help you to do it this way, and then we're getting clients from that as well. And it's not a forced thing. It's just saying this is what I'm doing. So I edit my own shows, and I'm kind of because now it's getting so big, it's like. But the reason that I was doing it is I'm kind of like say, because I know you see the sovereign leadership, but I'm big into sovereignty and things like that. There's not many people would actually understand a lot of the things that I'm doing. So for me to get the right timestamps is important. And then what I do is I put it on all the different platforms. So most people aren't even aware of say BitChute and Rumble, but I'm putting
right,
it on
right.
everything at the same time. The team then use click grab. So what sometimes people do, they're sending it via WeTransfer or they're putting it on a Google Drive. That takes time, and people then have to remember. Whereas I
Yes.
just go into an Excel form and just add the show that's done it. They take click grab, they grab all the stuff, they have access to all my Facebook, all the social media, and they just do their magic. And they're getting thousands of downloads with what they're doing, and I'm getting it with what I'm doing, and all the pieces are kind of connecting. The other things, it's I try to do a lot of stuff myself to be when I'm when I had a lot of employees, it's like at one stage it's nice. Even when I was running big job, I was a contracts manager for the biggest mechanical contractor in Ireland. I was running multi-million-pound jobs, and I used to always say, like, I got on very well, and I was able to bring people up to the level that they've all become directors and everything. The same with the people that work me here; they've all done very, very well. I'm able to make people rise. But I always felt like you're like an agony aunt as well. You're going around to see, the crying baby to pick it up and rub it. And it's like, I just don't like it. So in theory, I could get a lot more done with somebody here. I've got so much secret sauce that I have to keep the secret sauce because what I've learned is when somebody sees that you've got secret sauce, they're happy to walk away and start their own secret sauce. So
Yeah.
when,
Yeah.
when you've got magic, like I've got magic now with what I'm putting together,
Hmm. Hmm.
I can get a lot of the stuff that's done. I know I'd be bring. I think the main thing for me is I'm trying to use the AI to get the timestamps because you can go to Otter, get the transcripts, put it in, but it's too many steps, and I'm trying to
Right,
do it
right. Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, I
yeah,
totally.
I'm trying to put it up. I'm using about 4 or 5 of them. I'm trying to put it up, and they're all lying. I mean, I put up a 45-minute video and it's giving me timestamps over an hour, and you're going, "What's going on here?" And they're just guessing. And once I get that right, because I can put up a show, because you probably know that yourself. The guest is a lot happier when it goes out, but sometimes I have a big backlog because there's a big demand, and I think once I get that kind of system in place, then
Yeah.
with the sponsorship that I'm
Well,
doing, it's going to make a big difference.
and I think what you're talking about too, it's interesting because we have two opposing views on this, right? We definitely do. Because I don't do much anymore. I do what's required, which is me speaking right here, which is me coaching. I actually don't, I coach some people, but I'm mostly a consultant because my clients are very, very high end and I have very few people that I serve. And but everybody does everything else, but it all gets down to you need a system. So write that down. You need a system, regardless of whether you are a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business owner, an owner of a large entity, a franchise owner, or have multiple businesses. You have to have systems from day one. And that's what you have. You have the system. It might be in your head. It may not be written out, whereas mine are all written out so that I can give them and delegate them to somebody else, so they can run my system. And but that's okay. So as you're listening here, it's okay. There are some people, I don't agree with it. that are making less than, and I don't know what quids are, so I'm going to say less than $50,000 a year as an entrepreneur, less than $100,000 a year, and are trying to play with, they're chasing that shiny object right now of AI, trying to make AI be all of their employees, and they don't even have a system, right? And so I feel that's left for people who are at 250 and above. Now bring in AI for agents, for employees. At the lower end, use AI to write, use AI to get ideas, right? To do some editing. I totally agree with that. And where you're at, I totally agree with using AI with what you're doing. So as people are listening here today, I want you all to hear that it's not one size fits all. It really is not. And you have to look at your DNA and your experience to figure out what pieces you need rather than chasing every piece that's available out there. So what do you think about that, Roy? I know that was a big run on.
No, but what you said is spot on, and it's been something that I've always done. Even when I was working in our, I had systems for everything. Even when I was doing a lot of real estate here, everybody had a book and all the different things that you do.
Plus.
I yeah, like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I released 22 episodes, and I done a post on it saying because I hear so many people they've one show and they're going, I don't have time to do this, and it's like they're doing it wrong, and it's like if you
That's right.
systemize everything like because I'm using AI now in such a way that it's making my life better. It's making the show notes 100 times better, and I'm using graphics that because, for example, before I I put out the picture of the person, but nobody like the person that the guest is kind of happy. Oh, look, they put my picture out, but the graphic that you use is going to grab someone's attention. And I
Yes.
make sure that I'm getting very creative with the titles. But the thing is, as well, and this is kind of the difference between experienced people and not. When you have a few years behind you and you've between reading, doing a few jobs, you write the right thing with AI, where some people are just writing basic stuff. They're not even checking it. So you have to do about 10%, 20%, then get the stuff back, then go through it and just make tweaks. But there's people they just write something, cut and paste. And I mean, I know same with the pitching. The people that send the pitching is I get people pitching me for the crypto podcast that have nothing to do with crypto, or even the Polish podcast, and they're talking about insurance, not even in Polish. Like so, there's so many people using it wrong. And the other thing is you'll find that each AI is good for something. And that's why I've used Kimi, I've used Claude, I've used Chat. And yeah, I've used the free versions, but I've also used the paid. And then
Mhm.
there's a big difference. There's
Oh,
a big
there's a big
difference when
difference, but yeah, mine's called Gigi. My chat is Gigi, and my Claude is Chibi. I had a dog named Chibi. I don't know how it was named that way, but yeah, it's interesting because I've uploaded everything, and as as a business owner, as you grow, because you were saying that is like, hey, you've changed over time, and they're still promoting the same thing. We could go to a conference, meet one person that changes the direction of what we're doing. We could meet a handful of people that change, a partnership. And if we're not feeding AI on a regular basis, it's still going to put out what it has been taught. And so literally I'm recording everything that I do. We upload every single podcast, because it can analyze it and get rid of you, right? And I don't mean it badly. It will say, hey, I was on this podcast, listen to this podcast. And then from that podcast, what did you learn? And I ask, what did you learn about Lady Jen? Because sometimes, Roy, when you're on a call, you come up with this idea and you're like, oh, I need the raw footage because I can't remember that was brilliant stuff. And where'd I come up with it? Right. And I think that's important. Okay, so in business, we're going to kind of start wrapping up, here in the last 5-10 minutes here. But in business, so you decided to have several businesses. I see how they were grown. You personally have decided that, and this is what I love about Business on the Vine, everything works. Everything works. You decided that you weren't going to have a staff of, outsourcing virtual assistants, but you were going to use AI. Maybe you have an assistant or two about that. Let's talk about client acquisition. This is something that a lot of people have challenges with, of client acquisition. is getting on a podcast. And I talked about this in the beginning. How do we change relationships that we're developing through podcasting into revenue with the host or the guest? Now you've talked about I can, offer podcasting services to them. But for the average business owner who starts a podcast going, I'm a plumber and we're going to talk about profits in plumbing, how are they going to use that relationship to not use, but manifest from that relationship more revenue to make it worthwhile having a podcast?
There's a few versions. I'll take a kind of the plumber as well on this, but if we go with, say, somebody that's got a skill set, you don't need 100,000 downloads. You can bring on your potential clients because there's very few will refuse to come on your show. You can
Yeah.
get them on. You've just built a relationship. You mightn't even get through. The secretary could stop you even getting a call with this person. But when you kind of have, so you don't have to be even the expert in the field as well. So, for example, the crypto one, I just brought on people and my curiosity and asking things,
Right.
that works as well. Sometimes people think I have to be the specialist in it. Going to the plumber can be talking to maybe clients that he's had, other plumbers, trade show. But if he wants to monetize it, he needs to do his marketing in groups that are in that, so in the city. Like just say it's Ireland and he's in Cork, where I'm from. He's not going to be going to Dublin groups because he's not going to travel up to there. But he can be in every single Facebook page, anything connected with that. So the audience that are listening are from the region that he's with. If he's doing paid ads, only do it specific to there. And if he knows that the age is a certain age, don't be advertising to 18-year-olds when they're not his potential clients. At the moment, there's very few under 40 that are buying the houses, just the way that they've controlled the
Right.
market. So he knows that, okay, just target these people. And if he starts doing things like that, they listen to him, they'll hear him on the show, they'll go, I can trust this guy, he knows what he's doing. Anyone can actually generate, but you have to be, don't just wing it. Like, say, my Polish one, that's in about 50 groups. It's in foreigners in Much, foreigners in Warsaw, Polish in Ireland, Polish in the UK, Polish in
Mhm.
Chicago, because they're where the listeners are. And then, say,
Yes.
with Facebook, there's little tricks. People, they give a thumbs up. You can hit that thumbs up and invite them to your page. And it's just having little systems. If you keep doing it in daily, little things, it takes a couple of seconds. Whereas if you don't do it, you're missing out. And then the engagement increases, the numbers increases, and the clients start increasing.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm hearing here, just to be clear about this, is to bring on potential clients as guests to a podcast or show. You could do a YouTube channel if you didn't want to do a full podcast. So you could bring potential clients on. That's what I'm hearing from you. Number one, and that allows for, it's the not it negates the need for having millions and millions of people following you and trying to get millions of people. You are very targeted and focused and very intentional with that. But behind that, you need to take steps to ensure that the engagement turns into revenue, right? It turns into it. And I've talked about this a lot with my clients is, it's great to have 8,000 people viewing something. But if all you're saying is goody, yay, high five me, and you're not engaging with those people and asking them to follow your podcast, asking them a little bit more about them, asking them if they'd like to be a guest on the show, that's a missed opportunity, that's passing you by. And that's what I'm hearing from you. Yes?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Love that. Yeah. My angle is that and potential partners, always potential partners too. So I'm always looking at the business behind the person who is a podcast guest, looking at that business. So for your business, for example, you do podcasting. I actually have a podcast course that I do as well. So we're not so in that sense it might be competition, but you also have some strategies behind that I don't use. And that's a gap in what I'm coaching on. And I don't want to coach on it. And so it makes for a good relationship for us, for me to be able to send my clients to you who are in my course to get that subliminal or additional information. Do you follow on that?
No, and that's something
Yeah.
I've always done as well, because
Yeah.
sometimes people think, oh, we're competing. At the end of the day, there's a lot of podcasters I'm sharing, and when I'm generous with the skills that I've gotten, when something new comes up, I'm the first
Right.
person to think of. Whereas there's other people, they're just takers, and I just close the door on them because you realize
Yes.
it after a while. But
That's
there's
right.
times I've had lots of people guess that never even knew it. And you'd end up doing an affiliate system, you do something together, and you just don't know where it's going. And even there's times it could be 3 years down the line, and you think of that person when something comes up, and it mightn't be for you, but you can go, you need to talk to this person. They know what they're doing at that. And I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah,
doing that. Like, you
that's
build up,
exactly.
yeah, you just connect. And like I intentionally connect with on the social media with the different people because then when you see the post, like there's loads of people that they're supporting you as well, and that's helping as well when they're just giving a thumbs up and a heart and stuff like that, and you're kind of staying in contact. Whereas a lot of them, they just come in, they just want to tap into your audience and they're gone. They don't get it. It's a long-term game. You build
I
each other
know.
up. Yeah.
I know. You know what I call it? This is what happens. I say that guests, they post sometimes, you know, hopefully they post the episode that they were on. They post and then they ghost.
Yeah.
And what I find from hosts is that they host and then they post once. And that's the industry. And that's what's, and so I want to compare this. This will be the last question I ask you, but I just want to get your insight in this. I want to compare this because I've always said that a podcast is simply a hinge that opens the door to opportunity. And you have to walk through it after the show. When the show closes, you got to walk through it. Some way, somehow, you've got to walk through it. It's akin to going to networking. When you walk into a networking event, so this is all about business, you walk into a networking event that is opening the door to an opportunity. And in that networking event, you may have clients, you may have someone who becomes you become their client, and you will have partners. It's no different than going to a networking event, but you have to walk through the door of opportunity. You can't just be the hinge. You've got to follow through with all the activities that you're doing. What are some of the thoughts that you have around there that you would like to share with the people that are listening who are business owners?
Well, based on what you just said, because I mean, I was involved with BNI
No, me
and
too. For
and
years.
I got a load of referrals, and you'd always hear the people complaining that weren't giving any referrals. It was like they
Yeah,
just went there hoping to get business. If I went to a networking event, I wouldn't, I'm not a blackjack dealer with my business cards. That's what happens. People come up and they're
right.
like,
We
I
call that a skunk. Yeah,
I might talk to one or two people
that's right.
and
Yeah.
I build, and it's worth it by doing that because I understand the person, I build a relationship, we enjoy each other's company. But I'd say there's probably 90% of people, as you say, a skunk. It's
Yeah.
that they're just going wrong. So just be intentional with everything you do, and like intentionally try to help people. Because, like you mentioned the ghosting. I give a list of the email when the guest comes on, all the places I've shared it and how they can help me and everything. And I see very few do it, but when they do it, I share it a lot. I make sure
Yeah.
I give it so much energy that the numbers are very good for that. And there's other people, they don't even respond to the email that
I
I've sent them.
know. I know. Oh, I know. That's why I said if they're going to even post, right?
Yeah.
If they even post, and then posting once, for God's sake, if you've been on a podcast, there's no rule book that says you can't repost 3 months from now,
Yeah.
repost 6 months from now, re-email your group, right?
Yeah.
Your community again. You have to repurpose the heck out of that thing. That was your time and energy. And I mean, I'm sure you're at this point too. Financially, I'm at a point where that hour, that 45 minutes, whatever we have the podcast length, that is not a shot in the dark. It is how can I manifest and make more revenue from that by creating more exposure over and over. Roy, what would you like to leave those that are listening that are business owners who may or may not be considering a podcast based on what we've talked about today?
Don't fear it. You don't have to be high tech. It's very easy, simple, and it depending on the budgets as well as everyone, there's a lot of free resources that you can learn things on. There's even like I have a school group, cheap school group, so you can learn everything no matter what you're. So don't fear it and just be intentional. Don't wing it. Like I bought about 10 books on it. I'm constantly, I get courses. And I say, if I can get one thing from that course, that allows me to share that one thing with all my clients. If you kind of have that attitude with everything, because people get complacent. Like even, for example, people go to college and then they never read a book again. And I'm like, that's strange.
I
Why?
know that is the weirdest thing.
So just don't treat it like a hobby or just, this is grand. Treat it like a business. And it's like any business, or if you look at, like, say, the education, whether it's 4 years or 5 years, you know, sometimes you can go get out the gate and make clients and everything. But even if you're strategic and building it and putting all the things together, making good relationships, it's not hard. And to be nice to people, respectful, don't. And even if you feel, I don't want to do a podcast, even if you go on a tour, that you go on shows and have good conversations, build the relationships, go on the right ones, that can help your business as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no more random acts, no more random podcasts, random topics, random everything, right? All of it. Yeah. That's crazy. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Roy. It's just been an absolute pleasure to talk to a colleague in this industry, because not many people who are guests are colleagues in podcasting, and it's great to know that you're doing all of that on the other side of the ocean. I'm doing it on this side of the ocean, right? That we're spreading the word about this and helping people with their businesses and sharing their stories, to help everybody out. So, thank you for being a
No,
guest today. I sure appreciate it.
no, thank you very much. And I love what
Thank
you're doing because you're actually thinking of the entrepreneur and you're asking the questions connected with that. And not all guests do that. And it's a fantastic, the whole project that you do and the way that you do it is brilliant. And what I would say is that I hope your listeners go to Spotify and give you a 5-star review. They go
Yes.
to Apple
Well,
and go down because it makes a massive difference.
yes.
Because we tend to just look at it, enjoy something, and share it with maybe 3 friends that you think,
Mhm.
hey, they need to hear this because it really helps.
Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth. I don't have to do my end. Thank you all for listening. Take some great notes, listen again, put some things into action. And please remember to go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe, because there you will find all of the podcasts as well. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Business on the Vine. Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the Vine, so keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.